Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Battle of the Bands is one of those quick card games that you're playing, like more of like a take that kind of thing. So what you're trying to do is build a band. You can have one. You have 4 people in it, and you'll play cards onto it to make you a little bit stronger for when you battle down and have to decide who is the best band at the competition. A lot of take that in this. This is one of those just like little light card games. If you like the theme of it, I think it plays up to you a little bit more. If you're into that Battle of the Bands type thing, I think you're going to like this a little bit more. But at the end of the day, it's a pretty easy card game. Draw a card, play a card. You're going to play some cards against people if they're bad for other people. If they're a good card, you're going to play it on yourself. And each of the little characters in the game that you have in your band will maybe do something a little bit different or have different powers associated with them. For example, each person in your band can have an instrument. That's kind of cool. And there's a little bit of rules about like when contract cards can be played, hit songs, and kind of that will add up to your overall score. The first person to a score is going to be the winner, but the game does have a lot of take that in it, so be aware of that. It's not something you would take too seriously. Lots of luck. Did I draw the right card? If so, you're going to do a little bit better than if you didn't draw the right card, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast. A fun little game, not for me, but I can see a lot of people liking this. Now, the Encore Edition has had some extra cards in it that the base game didn't have at first. I don't think you need to run out and get the Encore Edition, but if it's available at a cheap price, and this would be the way to go because it has a little bit extra in it. As for me, this is going to be a Purge. This is the kind of game that I enjoy, the Battle of the Bands thing. Well, I think it's neat. I don't think it's something that speaks to me that this is the take that game that I want. I'll pass on this one, Purge. Here's Battle of the Bands. This is the Encore Edition. So this going to come with some dice and some new cards. I can't tell you exactly which cards are new. We have a rule book, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. You're going to get some dice in here. They're just regular 6-sided dice, nothing special. And then you're going to get these cards. Now, these remind me of like Munchkin type cards. So these will be the 4 starting cards that you have, which is playing me. And then it does have a little bit of an insert in here, but you can see the artwork on it is a little bit cartoony. Lots of words, very wordy here. Otherwise, it's fairly easy to use some of these, but you do have to look kind of closely, and you can't really read this from across. It does have like Sex Machine and stuff, so it's going to have a little bit of an order crowd here. Santa Claus. I don't know if you want to play with this with kids or not, but you know, your mileage may vary. But Munchkins type cards. That's all you're going to get. The components are fine for what it is, sure. Here's the rule book. It's just like black and white paper. It's so weird. This is the only picture on it. I don't know. Maybe it's from the time. Table of contents over here with no pictures, of course. It's just cards. But it does give you a pretty good layout of how everything goes. But man, it's a lot of words, right? A lot here. And not a lot of examples or pictures or whatever. It's fine. This is very cheap paper. Not very cool. The game's pretty easy. Everybody's going to start out with a me, and these are pretty much the same, except they're worth 1 superstar point based on if you get a certain random instrument with it. So we'll just start with this guy here, and then based on number of players, you're going to win if you get a number of superstar points, which is different than hip points. So you're going to start out with 5 cards in your hand, and if you're the first player, you draw a 6. And basically, you can play a card on your turn, and there's different cards that you can play. So, and there's just all kinds of rules of these cards. You kind of have to know them off the bat. So let's start with, you can just play down another band member. You can have up to 4 band members at a time. And these are hip points, which are different than superstar points, which are victory points. So I have like a 5 in my hip point. Let's say that, I wanted to play this, which is a reputation card. I can play a reputation card down, but I have to be able to roll less. So I'm going to place it on the king, who's a 4. I would roll the dice. I got a 4, so I could play it, and I would add 2 to his hip points. If I had rolled a 5 or a 6, and I would discard this, and it wouldn't work. And that's kind of how a reputation card is going to be utilized as you're going through. You can also play these instrument cards, and you just play it to a person. So the king is a high priest, and it plays a double-necked electric guitar. Everybody can have 1 reputation, and you can have 1 instrument. Now, the reputation cards can also be played on to the other players as a negative, so -3 would be a stereotype. So it can be positive or negative depending if you're playing on yourself or take that with somebody else. You could also play a contract card. This is worth 1. You just play it down on yourself. It's worth 1 a star point. Remember, the star points are how you're going to win. So now I have 1 star point. So if I'm playing a 2-player game, I got to play to 12. I have 1 other way there. But what's kind of nice about a contract card is to do that, I can play hit singles, and this gives me 1 extra once. That's something I can do on turn. Remember, on your turn, you can only play 1 card and then you draw it back up. Now, you have other things you can play, like choose a player and discard their entire hand. They draw up, like take that type cards. Take the contract card from one of your opponents and put in the band. So some of these will just be take that stuff that you'll be able to do. Now, the brunt of the game is going to be these gig cards. You're going to play down a gig card, and everybody will count up how many hip points they have. It's because they have 4, 6, 8, 9, and then you will roll the dice. That will add any audience members. So that's a 5. So that's a random between 1 and 6 you can add. So I got 5, 6, 10, 12, 14. Now, you also have these monkey wrench cards you can play down, which would be monkey wrenches. This is -2, so I'd play them on somebody else. Choose any band member, they don't participate, so somebody could just, block the king, and all of his points don't count for this time, because he was caught lip syncing, right? Neutralizes any other monkey wrenches, choose a band member. But other things you can do is I could play Kim, and Kim's just going to come play with us for this one time. So normally I would keep my band members, or I can have a max of 4. But during a gig, I could play some of these and just come in and guest with us. What that means is at the end of the turn, this will be discarded and won't stay in my band. She's just kind of somebody who's just kind of hanging out for a few minutes to help us out. And she might have instruments too. And these instruments only help us for this one performance and then they're gone. So that would add to my hip points. And whoever has the most hit points then wins the gig card. And the gig cards are normally worth a certain number of victory points or superstar points. So at the end, if I won, I would get the gig card and I would discard the temporary cards that I played. And that's pretty much how the game goes. You continue to attack and try to disrupt the other people's bands and have contracts and sign. You can have one contract at a time, but you can have multiple hit singles, etc. And continue on until you have enough superstar points to win the game. That's it. It's like Munchkin with the Battle of the Bands. Who should buy this game? It's a light card game, okay? And you've seen a lot of these games out where you're kind of building up points and then you're trying to trash your opponents as you're going at what they call that take that. You're going to have to be okay with that. I think the more you like this theme, the Battle of the Bands, because there's a lot of these take that type of games. If you like the Battle of the Bands motif, I think you're going to like this more. There are some adult jokes in here, so kind of go with that. Might be that's something you want to play with your kids, but some people might not mind as much. This is okay. A Purge for me, not a very good game, but in its genre of games, of take that games, it's pretty good, actually. It's just not something that speaks to me or a game that I like to play that much. But some people are really going to like this or have liked it. As for the Encore Edition, if you want to splurge for the extra cards, that's fine. I don't think there's anything in there that you're going to have. But in a game like this, more is probably better to give you that variety that you want. So for me, it's a Purge, but I think some people are really going to have fun with this one.